Welcome to the Divine Style Podcast with Gerlinda, Stella, personal stylist and self-love coach, and Alison, Maiden, psychic medium, spiritual healer and metaphysical teacher. Each episode you'll experience spiritual lessons to cultivate self-love and self-expression so you can become the best version of you.
Hi, I'm Gerlinda.
And I'm Alison.
Today we are talking all about dreams. I love this topic. I've always felt that our dreams could tell us so much about not only our waking life, but also our subconscious mind.
Yes, exactly. And so dream books, or dream Bibles as they're sometimes known, tell you about the language of dreams, and dreams have their own language completely. So things that you dream about will actually have sort of sometimes even the opposite meaning in actual life. So dreaming about a death, for instance, can be a birth of a new situation or a new idea, or even a birth of a new child. So it can mean opposites to what you think it means. And I've actually had, well, all my life too, I've had lots and lots of dreams. Prophetic dreams, which are dreams where you dream something about the future that's going to happen. I know you've had those as well, because we've been discussing those.
Yes.
And complicated dreams where you have a little bit of both. So you might have, your subconscious mind's trying to work out your day. And don't forget that your mind's incredible. We only use like 10% or something of our actual brain. And when we're looking around a room, for instance, we can take in everything that's in that room, but we won't remember with our conscious mind what we saw. But it's been proven lots of times, particularly for things like homicide cases. And there's been a few times where people have been hypnotized to remember certain aspects of a case to help the police with investigation. They do it more, I suppose, in the States than here, but there has been a few really interesting documented cases where they've remembered number plates and things like that, and that's led to the arrest of the perpetrator. So that's really fascinating to think that we take in so much and we only actually register a tiny point.
And it is true though, because it would be overwhelming if we were fully present and fully conscious of every single thing that was going on around us, it would be completely overwhelming. So it's amazing that our minds have a filter system.
Yeah, definitely. But the other thing that is important to know about dreams is there's a way for spirit to communicate with us. So our guides, when we're in that state, can come through and give us really sometimes cryptic messages about things that are happening in our life. You've got a doozy of a dream that you told me about, which we're going to decipher. Well, I'm going to try to decipher this one, because it's actually, I've never heard of anything quite so mad, but we'll see if we can decipher this. So tell me your dream.
So the other night I had a dream where there was a cat. So this is going to be really weird. So there was a cat.
Yeah.
The cat was a mum.
Mm-hmm.
She had a child who looked human. The human child had no eyes, and the cat mum was sending the child to Earth so she could learn how to see through human eyes.
Right. Okay. Quite an easy one, actually.
Ooh.
So cats are protection. Okay. Cats mean protection. So cats generally, when we see animals in dreams, it's about the nature of that animal. And depending on what the animal is doing in the dream, it pertains to the nature in that situation. So you've got a cat who's a mum, so it's a protective mother. So that would represent probably yourself in this scenario, being the protective mother. You then have a human child with no eyes. So you've got one of your kids who can't see something, that they're looking at things the wrong way, or perhaps their vision of the future might be quite a bit different to the reality of what the future will be.
Wow.
And the meaning behind, yeah, it's just dropped, hasn't it?
Yeah,
I heard that penny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that penny drop. So when we look at, the reason why it's happening is that, the protector of the mum, in your dream sent the child to Earth to have the experience. Now, that's what we do. I mean, that's part of life. We come to Earth to have many different experiences, and it's not right or wrong. It's just an experience. So it's just telling you that you're doing all the right things, that you're being the protective mum, that you're helping, but you're with your child throughout the process of her experience or his experience, and that you're doing the best you can.
Oh, that is really cool.
Hmm.
When we have our own dreams, it is very difficult, I guess, to see it from another perspective, because there I am thinking I ate cheese or chocolate. So if we are having animal dreams, to think about that maybe the representation of that animal, and obviously we can Google different things about different animals in terms of, cats being protectors. What are some other common animal dreams that you come across? Snakes, I know, is a big one for a lot of people.
Yes. When I was pregnant with my last child, I was dreaming about snakes all the time. And I'm not a huge fan of snakes in real life, mainly because I actually come from South Australia, where we have brown snakes, and they are extremely deadly and they're everywhere. And we're always being told to, be careful of these brown snakes. I had this vivid dream when I was pregnant. Before I knew that I was actually pregnant, I had a suspicion, but before it was confirmed, I had this dream of a massive snake, like a gigantic snake, coming over the hills, and it was bright yellow and orange in color, and it had these huge human-like eyes on it, and it was very friendly. It was a friendly snake, so I shouldn't have had any, worries in my dream about it at all. And it was just telling me that I was coming into an extremely creative time in my life. And the yellow and the orange is about the different chakras. So the yellow being the feeling center. So I was overwhelmed with feelings and emotions because I desperately really wanted to have this baby. And the sacral chakra, which is the past life. And I've told you this story before, and I don't think I've shared it with our audience yet, but I did lose a baby, and that baby died before he was born. And so in the sacral chakra is all of your past life fears and guilts and those things. And so the orange on the snake represented the joy, the yellow, the joy was having the baby come back again, but the orange was the fear of perhaps losing the baby again. So the fact that the whole snake was this beautiful yellow, and then there was just stripes of the orange in there, it gave me reassurance to say it was just a fear. It's not anything to worry about. And this big, huge creative energy was, of course, creating a new life.
How beautiful.
So that was a great dream, and it really meant a lot to me at the time. But then I had some weird dreams after that I'll tell you about later.
Well, one thing I love about dreams is it always reminds you of your own dreams. And I can remember dreaming of a yellow snake as well. Ooh, it was incredible.
There you go.
Yeah. So I'm like, same thing with the creativity. So I think anybody listening, if you've had any of these dreams, they're really going to resonate with yourself. So that's why we're trying to go through some common ones for you.
Yes. Yeah. So some of the really interesting common dreams that, pretty much everybody has at some point is when you're missing something. Like you're looking for something in the dream and you can't find it. And because same pregnancy, I kept thinking, because I was working like 60 hours a week, like I normally do, my life.
Yes, exactly. And you're a workaholic.
I am. I'll admit it. But I had this baby and I couldn't find him in my dream.
Oh, in the
dream, I'm thinking, I've got to feed this kid, but I can't find it. And I'm looking at all the cupboards. So those missing dreams are quite interesting. They normally mean that that you're worried about, missing out on something in life, that you think that you've not done something that you had to do, or those horrible feelings that come over you sometimes. Think, oh, I know I've had to do something, but I can't remember what it was, like feeding a child. So I eventually found him in one of the cupboards
in your dream, right? Let's just clarify, in the dream.
Hilarious as it was, when I woke up I thought, oh my gosh. So another common one, not working properly. So things not working properly. So I don't know, have you ever had one of those dreams where you're trying to call someone and you can't think of their phone number, or you're dialing on the phone but it's not working?
Yes, or something, or the car's not starting.
Yes.
Or
things just not getting started or not moving in that direction. That's actually quite an important dream, actually. That's saying that you've got to stop and reassess things, because it's not going to go forward, because it's not right, it's not meant to. So it's like the reassessment of the situation. So whatever you're dreaming about, you really sort of need to have a look at why it's not working, like what's not going to work about this scenario. So for instance, if you're calling someone in particular, then perhaps they're not the right person to be moving forward with, or something like that. One that I find quite fascinating, I've actually had one of these dreams. It scared the hell out of me when I had the dream, but losing teeth.
Oh, that is weird. I've never had a dream where I've lost teeth.
It was quite strange at the time. I remember like having my hand in front of me and all my teeth were falling out into my hand. And it really actually it means that you have a fear that people around you are not going to support you, and that friends are going to disperse and drop off, and you're going to be left basically without any support. So
our teeth are our friends.
They represent, well, let's face it, that your teeth are your friends, otherwise you'd starve or eat a very, very soppy, horrible diet. So losing your teeth can represent that you're frightened of losing people around you. Being chased. God.
Oh gosh, they're quite frightful dreams, aren't they? I've had one where I was underwater being chased by, I think it was like a shark or something. It's quite intense. Those dreams, you can often wake up with your heart still palpitating.
Oh, that's an interesting one that we can actually decipher too, because water is emotion. Being underwater means that you're overwhelmed with emotion. And if you're being chased, then that's someone chasing you that you can't cope with emotionally.
Makes sense.
So it'd be like a stalker or someone you don't want to come back from your past or something like that. Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yes. Like a book of secrets here. I will share eventually.
Oh, too funny. So, I've actually had this dream too, hilariously waking up and smacking my husband over the head, and he had no idea what it was about. But to dream your partner is cheating on you.
Oh, it is so funny. It sets you up for such a bad day with them.
Sometimes it's so real in the dream. And when you're psychic, you go, am I actually picking up on something here?
Oh, yes. Yes. You're like, actually, I think I'm having a prophetic dream now.
Yeah, but no. He's just stood there looking at me quite sort of pained and hurt. But that dream is not them not spending enough time with you, or you feeling like you're not being emotionally loved or supported from that person.
What about when you're the one that's cheated? I literally had a dream like this last night. There was a very cute male in my dream. I didn't know him, but it was like we were trying to sneak around. It was quite, and you wake up feeling guilty and you haven't done anything wrong.
Well, those types of dreams can often be because life is a little boring at the time. So you sort of create little kind of weird experiences, I suppose, that you wouldn't do normally in life. But, like for instance, bungee jumping. Not a hope in hell would I go bungee jumping, but I've dreamt I've done that before. It's taking that step to do something you ordinarily wouldn't do. So it's needing more excitement in your life.
I need more excitement.
You need more excitement in your life right now.
And what about if people, because often people dream about co-workers, is that the same sort of thing?
Yeah, that's actually a little different. That's more of a underlying feeling like you're picking up from people. So it can be that there's an attraction there, and so therefore it plays itself out in the dream. It can do that. But it can also be, this is going to kind of be weird, but I'm going to talk about it anyway, but it can be things you're picking up from people empathically, right? Now, I'm going to fill you in on something that happened to me many years ago, which will describe this dream perfectly. So I dreamt that one of the people I worked with came in. He was very masculine in life, and he came in dressed up in, he looked like Rocky Horror Show, like the suspenders, high heels. And I had this very, very vivid dream that he was like Rocky Horror, and I woke up and thought to myself, wow, that's really interesting. And I'll mention that to him when I see him, just because it's a bit funny, and I'll ask him whether he likes, the show, or whether there's some connection. And gosh, and people do this to me all the time. So I walked up to him, hi, how you going? Yeah, great. Yeah, he was all happy. And I mentioned the dream, and the poor thing burst into tears.
Oh no.
I know. It turns out that he wanted to be a woman. Just like, and I'd sort of picked up on the underlying emotion that he was putting out, because that's what you do when you're an empath. And so we had a big talk about it, and I was able to help him come out to his wife, and there was like all this stuff that happened after the dream. So I was looking at that dream as a bit of a prophetic dream, and seeing that I could help my friend through the difficult transition that he was having. There you go.
Well, that's beautiful, though. I think that's the other thing, isn't it? Sometimes we have these dreams and we don't know what to do with them. And I think it's wonderful when you can say, oh, actually, this is a message for my friend, and that you were able to help her to become who she wanted to be. That's beautiful.
Yeah, you just have to be a bit careful with sexual type dreams with co-workers, especially in this day and age, if you have those.
Probably don't want to walk up and tell them.
No. I won't tell you what I did with you in the kitchen last night type of scenario, because that could come across very badly at work. So don't do that, okay? Don't do that. Meeting someone famous, that's just, once again, a need for a bit of excitement. And if you've been watching, you've been binge watching Outlander or something, and you've been, fantasizing about Jamie and he happens to pop up in your dreams, well, that's a given that you've, just wanting that connection and wanting that feeling. The other side to that one too is that you have a hidden desire to be famous, or that you have, that desire to be amongst those people, to be higher of stature than what you might ordinarily be. So
that's a good one.
To be honest, being famous is no fun. I know quite a few famous people and they're not entirely happy. So very hard to go down to Coles. Yeah, you can't do it. Not in your tracky decks. You're watched all the time. It's horrible. So flying, I love this one. Had a lot of flying dreams, particularly when I was younger. I think when we're kids, we tend to have flying dreams a lot.
Oh, such good dreams. I can remember having flying dreams, and it does feel quite exhilarating and freeing. I think I've even dreamt that I was flying through space, like some really out there dreams.
Well, I mean, the psychologists will tell you that it's part of wanting to be free and all that sort of thing. But spiritually, this is astral traveling. So you have an astral body which goes out at night and, flies around and has a look around and tells you different things and feeds information back. And that can be sometimes like dead accurate with what's going on in the world. So I remember having a dream when I was 12. It's one of the first dreams I'd had outside of my body that was really like we could prove that I was astral traveling. When I say we, I mean my mum and myself. But there was a plane that went into a mountain in New Zealand many moons ago. Very sad. And there were lots of people killed in that one. But I was actually there on that mountain, and I woke up and I was describing to my mum the scene of all the bodies everywhere and how distraught I was. And then sure enough, it came on the news within half an hour. So those sorts of dreams is like you can astrally travel to these places and have the experience. And I'm sure a lot of people listening will have had that experience themselves.
Yeah, my mum, I know, had very similar dreams, and that's why she had the dream book when I was growing up, or the dream Bible. She would often say, oh, this is going to happen or that's going to happen. She just knew that she could foresee that happening in the future. And another friend of mine, she's managed to herself be able to decipher her dreams to let people know, like if they're unwell or if there's something coming up for them they might want to be aware of.
Yeah.
And it is amazing being able to have those dreams.
Well, prophetic dreams have been around since, the beginning of time, really. I mean, you hear a lot of stories about people having the dream and then the situation happening to them. And even throughout the Bible, there's stories about that, angels coming to people in dreams and telling them different things. But I think that when you understand the dream language, it just makes it so much easier to understand what's happening in your own world and your own life. A couple of things we haven't mentioned: being naked in dreams.
Oh my gosh. Oh, when I was growing up, that was probably the worst one, going to school and realizing you had no clothes on.
Yeah.
It's a terrible dream.
It is a terrible dream, but it's about your vulnerability, how you're feeling about yourself and whether or not you're willing to share. Well, clearly you were, but we're willing to share with others. Yeah.
It reminds me of the toilet dreams as well, where you're going to the toilet in public and you're like, but then you wake up thinking, oh no, maybe I'm just busting.
Well, there's that. Yeah. But going to the toilet actually represents letting go or getting rid of stuff out of your life as well, stuff that no longer serves you. So that's another good dream indication that you need to move on from something. And the other one, which is quite common, is being late. So, you know, trying to get ready for something that you're in your car, you can't find it, you know, you're late for an appointment. I think some of us have this before we've got to fly out the next day, or, you know, having those.
Every time.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's just being overwhelmed with responsibility and feeling like there's too much on your plate. So time to wind back a little bit there. So yeah, I mean, there's so much that we could talk about, and on this subject is fascinating. And I've actually done entire radio shows on people just ringing in with their dreams and then being deciphered on air, you know, and them going, oh yeah, of course, I didn't think of that. I love that bit when people go, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. So it's about like thinking outside the box a little bit. So don't sort of think literally about your dream. Look at if you're dreaming in full color, it actually means you're clairvoyant. So, which means your third eye is open, and you can train yourself to see things during the day, you know, like in your awake state as well, particularly any messages from spirit that might come through. They can drop into your mind as a picture or a flash of things. But before you're kind of confident doing that, spirit will give it to you in your dreams. So they'll give you that message in your dreams. So you'll wake up and think, wow, that was like full on, you know. But I get words as well, really strong words in my dreams. So occasionally they'll shout a word at me, which will be a really strong indication of something, like, you know, I don't know, money, or they shouted that my daughter-in-law was pregnant before I found out, those sorts of things. So yeah,
that's incredible. I had someone message us the other week around one of our podcasts and saying a similar thing. What does it mean when you wake up to a voice or you hear a voice in your dream? And they are sending us messages. It's incredible.
Yeah. So when you hear and it's 9 times out of 10 a very nondescript voice. So you couldn't say, oh, that was a female voice or that was a male voice. It would just be a voice, and it will have usually 1 or 2, sometimes 3 words. It's very rare, you know, that they'll give you a full sentence, because it takes a lot of.
So you need to decipher the words.
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy to get that through to you. Don't forget they're going through a couple of layers of dimensions there. So it takes a lot of energy to do it. But because you're in your dream state, your astral body is actually still out. So you're closer to the spirit realm than you are when you're in physical body. So when you're dreaming, it's like going into a deep meditation. It's a similar concept when you're in deep meditation.
I've had my name called and I've woken up and then gone downstairs thinking someone's called me and realized that one of the kids has left the front door unlocked.
Yeah.
So there's like sometimes it can be really cool messages when you act upon them and see what it might be. And I'm so grateful when that happens too, because it's like, well, who said my name? It was me, probably, in my my higher self.
It could be. And look, I mean, we can be our own guide. You know, higher self is exactly that. It's all of the people that you've been in previous lives are stored up there, all your personalities. So, yeah, we can be our own guides. One of the things that I wanted to chat about was repetitive dreams. I get a lot of this from people that, you know, they send me messages and things, and they'll say, I keep getting the same dream over and over again. Sometimes those dreams are really like graphic and can be very disturbing.
Yeah, dreams can be so scary. I remember you telling me about a client of yours that had a very graphic, repetitive dream.
Yeah. So she was having this repetitive dream where she would dream the same thing night after night. And this was happening for months. And this is Spirit's way of actually bringing you a heads up. So there's something going on here that you need to look at, okay? So she came to me because she couldn't get help anywhere else, and no one would believe that this was happening to her, and she actually thought she was going crazy. You could imagine. The dream was graphic. It was very scary for her because someone was cutting her throat in the dream.
That would be awful.
It was horrible. And she came to me for past life healing, and during that process, we actually discovered that she had recently started a new relationship around the time that the dream started. And there was a connection between the person in her life at the moment and that time frame back when it had happened to her.
Incredible. So it was karmic.
Yeah. And she said, although she felt quite comfortable with this person in her life, she had this sort of underlying fear of of them and didn't want to bring them in close. So we managed to heal that, and she was able to sort out the relationship with the person and move on to whatever she decided to do. But it was just really interesting. The dream did stop after her regression. So sometimes when we have repetitive dreams, it's like you're not getting it the first time. So, have a look at the message, or it is a past life situation.
My dad, he had a recurring dream where his mum, there were multiples of his mum, and he would always pick the wrong mum. Oh. Even though they all looked the same. And so, yeah, and he had that dream over and over again. And he said it was really frightening. He'd wake up just so upset that he couldn't pick the right mum.
Oh, I kind of feel sorry for her. I want to give him a hug at this moment in time. Yeah, well, that's actually, that could represent the nurturing aspect of himself, actually. So that he's not getting it right. He's not nurturing himself properly. And so he's picking the wrong path in order to do that. And I've met your dad a few times. He's a lovely, lovely man, but I wouldn't say he's a self-nurturer.
No, he's very much for the other person.
Yeah. So he's clearly picking the wrong women.
That would also be true.
So take notice of the repetitive stuff. Take notice of animals in your dream, the type of personalities. Obviously, it's pretty simple stuff. If you see a mouse, there's someone being sneaky, or, small things happening around you maybe not noticing. A bear is large and sometimes quite frightening. So we might be looking there for something overwhelming coming your way that's going to scare you, tigers, cats, that sort of thing. We're looking at things that might attack you in some way. But the cats themselves, the little ones that are quite, easy to get along with, except for some cats that particularly don't like you and want to swipe your ankles as they walk past, then you've got protectors there in the household if you have a cat around. So their personalities always shine through in your dreams. If they're being kind, they're being nice, great. If you've got a dog snarling at you, well, what's dog? A man's best friend. That means you could have a falling out with your best mate. So it's really back down to the symbology behind it. Colours, big deal with colours. Always look for colours in dreams, as I explained before, about the yellow being joy and around that creative centre, and then the sacral chakra being the past life stuff. Colours are very important to remember because, say, for instance, you're driving in a red car. Now, we all know that red cars go faster, but
of course they do.
Of course they do. But red is actually about survival, and it's about, watching what's going on and perhaps stop, perhaps don't go down that path. So red cars, obviously, it could be moving forward, but hey, stop. Have a reevaluation of this before you move forward. And numbers in dreams. People are telling me about numbers all the time. Everyone's awakening. It's so cool. Repetitive numbers. You can get lots of different, I keep saying I've got to write this book, but there's going to be lots of different publications out there that will tell you what the numbers mean. But one's usually new beginnings, two's are partnerships, three's communication, 4 is about finances, 5 is about travel, expansion, adventure, 6 is family and compassion, 7 is spirituality, 8 is success and control. We know this one well. And 9 is about endings, but it's also a teaching number. So it's about being taught or you teaching others. So that's a very brief rundown, but there's lots of combinations of numbers that you can see in dreams, which will give you an indication of what's happening.
And I think it's really important too with dreams. Often people don't remember them. So I always keep a notepad and pen next to my bed. And as soon as I'm sort of in that half dream wake state, I'll start to try and recall my dream and then write it out when I wake up. And that can really help if you are having prophetic dreams, because you will have those deja vus, like, oh, I feel like I've been here before, or this has happened before. And it can be those prophetic dreams, can't it?
Absolutely. My mum, darling heart, she used to say, oh, you just broke my dream, because she was English, and that's the saying, you just broke my dream. It's like, broke it? Yeah, I remember it because of something you said. So you can sometimes recall things during the day that you dreamt about the night before, and people will say something and it will just trigger that recall. But yes, absolutely, write things down. Amethyst under your pillow or by your bedside can help you to remember dreams. And it's also a great protector as well. So it keeps out people that maybe you don't want to get in your head when you're dreaming.
That's very true. Yeah. What about smells? Do you find that sometimes like some sort of essential oils and can help you with your dreams?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of wonderful essential oils that can help us relax and get into that state. It's really about slowing down your mind and getting into the relaxing, open state, I suppose, to receive. So the theta waves that come in, you'll find too that you'll dream probably more so. Well, we dream all night, really. There's various different dreams that happen during the night, but just before you wake up, you may be having some really intense dreams. They're the good dreams because they're the ones that you usually remember. And I've always end up having really wild, full color, pretty much, full on movie dreams before I wake up. So when I'm going through my dream dictionary next to my bed, like, what does a whale mean?
When it's on, like, when it's in the desert.
Yeah. like in my swimming pool. What does a whale in my swimming pool mean? So, there's all these crazy things that happen. But if you actually look at it and decipher it, take the time to do it, it has some wonderful messages in it.
Dreams are great. I love I think we have spoken about it before, but how you said you dreamt of a carnation and someone brought you flowers that day.
Yeah, you were there when that happened. So it was a really crazy thing. I had a beautiful pink carnation in my dream and it was so perfect. And I think other people will agree here that in dreams, things can be absolutely perfect because, hey, it's your dream. You can have whatever you want. So me being perfection queen, numerology 8 and Virgo with Sagittarius rising apparently, so you can't get any more perfect than that. So in my dream my flower was perfection, and sure enough, a few hours later in walks this lady with a beautiful bunch of flowers, and the dream meant that I would be getting a gift for my services or what I was doing, and she was just so grateful for being able to be helped by the Reiki attunement that she'd had. It had changed her life. And she wrote a lovely card and it was really sweet. So yeah, I mean, those things, spirits sometimes I think they just must see the future. They get so excited about what's going to happen. They want to share it with you beforehand, which is
that's beautiful,
it's cute,
isn't it?
Isn't it?
It is very cute. That's awesome. And I'm sure we'll be getting some emails and messages around people's crazy dreams in the coming weeks. And I think dreams are a really amazing way to tap into the universe and to really understand ourselves better. I think it's important too to remember what we're putting into our heads just before we go to sleep will have an impact as well. So if you're watching a horror movie or something violent, that can actually then affect your dream state. So doing those beautiful things, burning a candle, remembering to blow it out, playing maybe some of those beautiful sounds you were talking about, the solfeggio frequency.
Yeah, meditating before sleep's a great idea. And yes, no, don't. Why would anyone do horror stories before bed? I don't understand that.
No, neither do I. I like having nice, pretty dreams. So, and keep a little dream book next to your bed and write them out so that you can see if you are actually having dreams that are coming literally true.
Yeah, absolutely. And just one last thing before we go, I just want to reassure people that when their loved ones come to them in their dream, they may not always remember what they've been told in the dream, but that it'll always be in their mind and it will be in their subconscious mind. So it's retrievable eventually, but don't just be distressed if you can't remember what they've said. The fact that you've seen them just means they're around you and they love you and they want to connect.
That is a really good thing to bring up. And we often do dream of loved ones past. I know I often dream of them and I know that that's their way of coming and saying hello. It is really beautiful to have those dreams. And you're right. Sometimes you're like, oh, what were they trying to say? Yeah. But the important part is they're just coming to say hello.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening to the Divine Style Podcast. Please follow, share, and tune in weekly for more spiritual and self-love guidance. You can find out more and ask questions at gerlinda.com.au and alisonmaiden.com.